Yeah, we're just talking about old school jiu-jitsu, people that have been around the game for a while.
Yeah.
You know, when you first came in here, you used to train with like Gerson, and it's been around for a while. And
yeah, it's funny. Like I started training in the '90s, and it was like people ask me, "When did you start?" And then you start feeling really old. Yeah, but yeah, jiu-jitsu has been such a cool journey for me, and like when I realized like my maturity came a lot through jiu-jitsu, because it parallels a lot with my journey in establishing myself as an artist in the animation industry, and my journey in jiu-jitsu, because I was 20 years old when I got into the animation business, you know, and you know, that was like my dream job. But then it was also, I was 20 years old. Like when someone's 20 years old, you're still a dumb kid, you know, and you're still so much insecurity, so much immaturity. And like, I gotta say, like, my first love is Jesus Christ, but I look at jiu-jitsu as one of the most important blessings that he put in my life. Because I realized, like, looking back, if I didn't have jiu-jitsu, the animation industry would have eaten me alive, you know? Because there's so much, you know, like being 20 years old, and I feel like I'm a good artist, and then I'm thrown into animation business where I'm surrounded with professional artists, and just the insecurity, like, oh, can I fit in? Can I make it in this industry? And you know, to have jiu-jitsu there to build my confidence, to challenge me, and to help me, like, to believe in myself in a genuine way. Like, I'm so grateful for that, and just the ways that I've grown through jiu-jitsu, you know, because like when I got into animation, it was my dream job, you know.
since you were a little kid?
Since I was a little kid, you know, all I wanted to do is draw superheroes. You know, I taught myself how to draw, and like I just copy comic books. And when I got into the industry, I was like a self-taught artist, you know.
Wow.
And that was my dream. And I was working with artists. I used to collect their comic books, you know. And then what kind of surprised me was I was like in my dream job, and then there were some veterans that I was working with, and I was like kind of surprised, like they would be kind of complaining a lot. They're kind of unhappy or kind of frustrated with their careers. And I realized, like, okay, like having the fulfilling life is a much bigger quest than even having the job of your dreams. And so when I started making friends in the business, and there was two guys. One guy whose name is Andy Tom. He was a martial artist, and he would train over at the Inosanto Academy. And he would be part of their jiu-jitsu program. And then another guy is Joaquim Dos Santos. Like Joaquim would train here before too.
Ricky did?
Joaquim Dos Santos.
Joaquin, yeah, yeah, of course, yeah.
And those two guys, like, they would try to influence me to get into jiu-jitsu. And
From back in the day, huh,
Yeah,
Joaquin?
yeah.
Wow.
those guys started training in the mid-'90s, and they would like show me like the Choke documentary, and they'd show me like all these MMA
You got your
videos.
little Hickson Gracie doll, right?
Yeah, yeah. And then
We're in
they'd
that.
show me like hours and hours of videotapes of Shudo fights.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I became a big fan of Rumi Nasato.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that guy was like,
He was the first lightweight superstar, you know,
he's
MMA
like
superstar.
Bruce Lee, you know.
Flying arm bars.
And then Joaquim showed me like he had fought like a MMA fight with because he was like training with Larry Landless.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The referee.
Yeah, and I saw like I saw like he beat up
Joaquin fought MMA?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and he beat one of Chuck Liddell's students, and it was like, oh, that's so cool. And then my friend Andy Tom, he told me like, hey, you want to watch my fight? We're having some Shudo fights at the Inosanto Academy. So then I went there, and it was so cool. And he fought 2 fights, and in the audience, like Hickson Gracie went to show showed up there, and I was like just a nerd, you know. Whoa, there's Rickson Gracie.
This is back in the 90s, mid 90s.
And then a younger Eric Paulson was there, you know.
Yeah.
But because he was part of the Sono Academy, and I was like kind of jealous. I was like, these guys are doing cool stuff. I want to do cool stuff too. And so I started like looking online, looking through those grappling magazines.
That's how you got all your information back in those days, right?
Yeah. And then I saw like
magazines, print magazines, black belt magazines, which grappling was part of that, right? Part of the black belt magazines.
And then I saw there's an ad. Andre Lima had his martial arts academy there, and then he said like they were offering jiu-jitsu classes, and I hit him up and asked him like, "Who's your instructor?"
So you went to Andre Lima's school, huh?
That's because he said we got this instructor named Gerson. He's from Gracie Baja, and he's also training with the Machados right now, and he's our instructor. And then I remember Gracie Baja because like I'd seen Henzo fighting, Hal fighting, and I knew like those guys were like my idols at the time, you know, because they were like real. They had an edge to them, you know, and I remember like that they would show me some grappling matches, and I remember there's that team, the team that had the Tasmanian Devil on it, and to me like that. To me, that's like Gracie Baja's evolved to be something cool, but to me, like that generation with the Tasmanian Devil, like that was the coolest.
That was like the golden era. That was the time of Gracie Baja when they had all the different games, the different styles of jiu-jitsu, right? In that one place.
Yeah.
And then, who's who, you know?
And then when I got into training with Gerson, it was like the dream, you know. I went in there and Gerson had a small group of young Brazilian guys, like scary guys, and I remember their names like Cristiano, Adriano, Victor, Adriano, and then they were all like kind of just having fun, and they were all scary looking, you know. And then I remember Gerson was tell them like, "Hey, this guy doesn't know anything. Just take it easy on him." So my roles for a really long time were just starting on their backs. With hooks in, and then it's get the collar grips, and then they would just like break free and then tap me, and that was a great time, you know, and it was like I felt like I went into it with a good attitude because I already knew like I knew it was hard, it was gonna be hard, you know, and I didn't expect that I would get good at it fast, so like it was just part of what I expected, you know, and I remember like there's just cool experiences. Like,
when did you start competing?
I think it was a white belt. Yeah, like Gerson had always wanted.
Because he was in Culver City, right? He had the Gracie Baja Culver City at the time.
Yeah, I think it was the Clever.
He was like I think it was the first one, right, in California. Yeah.
Like the Machados were here already, but they were kind of doing their own thing.
Right.
And I think Gerson always wanted us to compete, and especially like, you know, competing is not for everybody, but like he saw me as like a 20-year-old guy and no responsibilities. He needs to compete, you know.
That was it.
And then I remember the first competition I did was Kleber Luciano's Copa Pacifica. And then I remember like my first match, I was so excited, and then like I tapped the guy with the collar choke, and then I was so hyped. And then the next match, I got totally blown away by one of Half Gracie's white belts.
Half Gracie had good guys.
But I thought that's like a perfect outcome for your first match, because you experience that you can do
the highs,
and then you come back wanting more because, you know, you could have done better, you know. And I feel like that was my experience a lot with the competing was like I'd be at one level, and then it would take a while for me to build up where I feel like I'm winning, and then I'd get to the next level. I'd start at the next belt. I'd start from the bottom and have to work my way up. And I feel like that was a good analogy for life, you know. And I remember, like Gerson, it was funny because when I was young, I would be attracted to the flashy guards, you know. And there was a guy who.
Who were some of the guards you remember?
I remember, there was a guy named Sapao. He was
Carlos Sapon.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and he had the most beautiful dynamic guard. He was so flexible and athletic, and he would every time someone would almost pass his guard, he would invert, and then he would like load the guy up on his leg and do that holete sweep.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember telling Gerson, I want to play a guard like that. And I remember Gerson was like, "Oh yeah, okay, well we'll train everything, you know." But then Gerson kind of knew like that's not my guard, you know, because I'm not that athletic. And then
and everybody has different body types too, right? That things work better for you than other positions.
And that's one thing I appreciate about Gerson is like Gerson had his guard. It's that butterfly lasso guard that so many Gracie Baja guys are good at. But he didn't force that on me. You know, he really looked for a game that worked for me. And I remember he said, "Sam, I'm going to bring Gordo to come train with us. And I really feel like his game will work for you." And he came and he did the seminar, and we trained just half guard for 1 month. And I totally fell in love with it. And Gordo, that guy is probably one of the most inspirational guys I've come across, because that he did a seminar, and I was still a white belt, and the academy was full with so many people from different academies, and I never seen so many black, brown, and purple belts in one place, and they were top level guys. Like it was like I just seen these guys winning tournaments, and Gordo was teaching his basic underhook half guard, and he said, "Okay, like who wants to roll?" And he tapped everybody, and it was amazing because it was the way he did it. Well, he was like relaxed. He fought at his own pace. He just did his underhook. He sweeps the guy, pressure pass, and tapped the guy. And I don't want to say who was tapped, but he tapped everybody. And the last guy was the best guy. He saved the best guy for last. And then the guy was flying all around. It was a clash of styles because the guy was very dynamic. And Gordo just kept calm and slowly just trapped him and tapped the guy. And then I was like, Jiu-Jitsu, it offers that level of mastery that like you see in those kung fu movies, you know, but it's for real, you know? Because Gordo was like, I was like, man, this is a true master, because it's like people can do athletic stuff and show their athleticism, but he was like so relaxed the entire time, and he wasn't even breathing hard at the end, you know, and then that kind of inspired me, like, oh, I love this half guard, you know, it's that beautiful thing when you student catches something that works for them, you know, and
you felt like, man, I can do this. I can this is what I can do, and I can be amazed. I can be great at it.
Yeah, and that was like the foundation, and I was like, I gotta go out and gotta go compete and sweep everybody with this, you know. And I remember like we'd go searching on the internet and find like, oh, this academy's having an open house tournament, and we can let's go there. And I remember like we went to Chris Brennan's. He had a West Side submission tournament, and
like no gi, right?
No gi, and then I remember he was like super nice to us, you know, and he was like he introduced himself and made sure we were welcome, but he must have been like, who is this white belt comes to my academy and wins my tournament, you know, and and
you did it all with half guard.
Yeah, it was just because it was at that time like.
It was new, yeah.
It was kind of new, and then
especially in America, right? Guys didn't understand it yet.
Yeah, and
or it didn't really come here yet.
And if someone's aggressive half guard, you got to be pretty technical about, especially with no gi, and so I was already like kind of hooked, you know, and then you know, as I started competing, like it was that thing where like. After that, I got to blue belt, and then I lose a lot at blue belt, and then gradually, like, I just got to get the losses out of the way, and then at a certain point, like, oh, I'm winning the tournaments at blue belt, and I feel like I expect to win or at least medal, and then I got to the next level at purple belt, and I just feel so fortunate. Like my experience in competing was so positive, even though like there's that professional level of competing where competing all the time, and then there's the people that don't compete. I feel like I was at the middle, but I still
you
had
had your day job, right? And you did this like on the side that kept you actually allowed you to do your day job good, right?
Yeah, and there's something special about jiu-jitsu where like it builds a healthy confidence in you, and like I remember when Gerson would tell the guys like, take it easy on Sam, he doesn't know anything, and then I remember one time there was a new guy and Gerson said to me, hey, take it easy on this guy doesn't know anything, and I remember like, wait, he said that to me? I'm the guy that needs to be calm now. and it's the truth. It's like
you come a long way.
People change, and it's not like a superficial thing. And it's something about if there's a difference if someone says like, oh, you can do it, but then there's a difference if you can prove it to yourself.
Yeah.
And that's something jiu-jitsu allows. And just the thing about being having healthy mindset when it comes to competition. Like, I remember my friend and I, we were white belts. We had started training at about the same time, and we were rolling after class ended. We were rolling, and we were going pretty hard, And then our heads clashed, and I was bleeding all over, and the young Brazilian guys were all surrounded us, and I remember they were saying like, if you tap because you're tired, it means you're a wimp, But they didn't say wimp. But and then like that experience, but after that experience, like we became really good friends after that, And just like if you had that experience,
like the bond, right? The bonding, like the training, the hard training, the iron sharpens iron, right? Makes you you connect, right? You have like a strong fight, strong training.
And if you test your wills against someone in the workplace, you've made an enemy for life, But in jiu-jitsu, it's like you process it differently. And like I remember we'd be rolling. I'm pretty sure you had this experience where like you're training, you have your training partners that you're really close to, and you're training hard, and then you get a sweep, and then I would turn to see if Gerson. We would both turn to see if Gerson saw that sweep, and then I remember Gerson like saw it, and then he called us out like, guys, what the hell? Stop looking at me. I know what you're doing. And then
you also see the guys like even my friends, they train and they do like a nice move and they look to see them like that pass or that sweep, You see that?
No one sees it.
But then like you realize like when you start going to the tournaments, and I realized like I saw
had a nice moment yesterday with Sevon because he did some nice moves. My son, he did like a nice crazy half guard sweep. I'm like, damn, And then he looked up at me.
But like that competitiveness. But when you go to the tournament with your friends, and then like my teammates competing, and their matches going, your butterflies start happening.
Yeah.
And I realized like, oh man,
the nerves.
Like it's their match, but I'm the one that's wants them to win so bad. And I realized like I grew in my character because of that, because like I genuinely cared about someone else being successful, And I think that's something you can't learn in a classroom. And like, there's so many people get into work leadership positions, but if they don't have that trait, like they really shouldn't be leaders, And I feel like that's something I appreciate.
Big. Yeah, that's big. Yeah. Tapping into something, right? Wanting other people to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's real. That's real.
Yeah, and
that's real character training, right?
Mm-hmm. And
that jiu-jitsu gives you.
And it's for real. It's like, people think like, oh, I care about other people, but like jiu-jitsu, it allows you to train it for real, And just things about like, with tournaments you face so much defeat, and you have to like, you have to build yourself up to be a type of person that faces disappointing results, and you come back. And I remember when I became a brown belt. I was a brand new brown belt, and I trained so hard because the worlds came up, and I felt so good. I trained so hard, and I felt, you know, when you're in shape, you feel like you're light. You know, you feel like you can jump out of the building, and I got blown out like in the first round, you know, and I made such a big mistake right at the beginning, and I remember feeling so dejected, like, and then I thought, man, how can I cross this plateau, you know, because I trained so hard, like, and it's hard to imagine
yourself,
that you can get better, and then I remember Gerson like pulled me aside and he's like, you've done it at every level, you got to keep up with it. And he started like, you just got to keep competing, you know. And you'd set up with he'd call up other coaches, say, hey, you having an in-house? And I remember like Van der Braga said, oh, I got some guys Sam can compete against. And I remember like he had a student, Mikey Ancheta, like he tapped me, and then I was like, but I was already, all right, I know this, I have to go through these losses. And then I remember Kaike.
Kaiki.
He had his tournament, and that was like a breakthrough where it was great because you're guaranteed 2 matches in his system. And my first match I lost, and then I was like, forget it, I'm just gonna go for it the next match. And I remember it was like, I tapped some guys, I was like, okay, I can hang with these brown belts. And then I just kept competing, and then you know, doing no-gi tournaments and this and that, and then I remember I started winning medals at the brown belt level, and then like I was like, man, I'm so glad like I didn't quit, you know. And I remember Kid Peligro after that World Championships, like I was feeling so dejected, and then
it was which the IBJF?
Yeah, IBJF.
When they came to the US, 2007.
I think it was 2008.
8, okay.
And then
because the first year they came, the Mundials they used to call it, right, from Brazil to the US.
Yeah, I remember like Kid Peligro had written an article about the recap of the Worlds, and he was like, congratulations to all the people that won, and congratulations to all the people that lost on the first round, and you're gonna keep up with it, you're gonna come back stronger the next year. And I was like, oh, that's for me, you know, like, and I was like, yeah, I knew then. I was like,
it's crazy.
I can't quit,
you remember that line from all those years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I realized like the jiu-jitsu changed my mentality a lot, because I realized like even with the recent fires, like I realized like I'm really slow to panic, you know, because I feel like when we got the evacuation warning, I'm packing my stuff. I was like I feel like even if my house burns down, I'm gonna be okay, you know. And I feel like my important things I have, you know, my wife and my kids, you know, and yeah, I'm so grateful, and
it's like built into, it's like who you are now, right? From all those experiences, the winning, losing,
and I feel like just that journey of like trying to figure out what I want out of life, like jiu-jitsu was a big part of it. And like when I got my black belt, like I felt like I could do anything, you know. And right after I got my black belt, like I was like, well, that's when I started directing in animation. And then I started just knocking down goals, because like I believed in like I could do it, you know. And then like I paid off all my debt. I got married, I bought a house, and I, you know, I was able to do all these things, you know. I was go boom, boom, boom. And then like I was kind of like stepped away from jiu-jitsu for a while, because I was chasing after all these goals. And then I realized like after a while, like, oh, I gotta come back. And then that's when I came back here, because like you know, my kids arrived, and I realized like, you know, I really need that balancing effect of jiu-jitsu in my life again. And I'm at the point in my life now where like I feel like I appreciate everything more, you know, because with my work, I see it now as a blessing, and I'm so grateful. Like I can show my creativity and express it and provide for my family through my work. And then I have jiu-jitsu where I can grow and stay healthy and do all these things. And I look back at it, and I feel like for a while I had mismanaged these things because I was looking for it to justify my existence, you know, and like Leo Vieira and Vander would say, like Jesus is the number one thing. So now, like, I look at my work as a blessing, and I look at jiu-jitsu and all my medals. Like, I still have a collection of the medals, but I don't look to them to justify my existence. I look at my medals and I realize, like, man, I've been so blessed that I was able to compete and grow in jiu-jitsu and experience these things. And so now I just look at them as a reminder that I should be always thankful, you know, and that's something I hope I can pass on to my friends, my kids, my family.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we went down south because the Pasadena you could see from my house. And we're like, why are we going to wait if we can, you know, so we close the gym for that day at least, you know, just to see what's going to happen, right? Because it was so crazy windy, right, still. And I asked my family, like, you have 5 minutes, you know, what are you going to grab, you know? And it's funny, you know, everybody said different things, right? Like the valley rolls and this and that. My son was like the video game on my cell phone. And my other daughter that wrestles and stuff, right? And competed a lot in jiu-jitsu. It was like my medals and my that kind of stuff, right? And then later on, she asked me like, well, what about your medals, you know? And I'm like, well, you guys are my medals, you know? It's all the experiences and all the things I went through, right? That made me who I am, and that's what I can give to all my friends and students and my kids, you know?
Yeah.
To make them a better person, right? Like resilient, more confident, like that's everything.
Yeah, and yeah, it's like
medals, like it's inside, right? It's inside of us.
Yeah, I've seen so.
I said to her, I was like, you guys are my medals, you know.
There's so many champions would talk about, like from the old school generation, like they would talk about it and they say like, oh, my medals, they're kind of in a box, you know. And it's cool because to see like their lives have transcended it, and they still appreciate it, but you know, it's something that helped them to grow. And, you know, like, I think that mentality it's here in this academy. And I remember when I first came, like, that I felt so welcome and the feeling of respect, you know, as a black belt. I had stopped training for a few years, and I was like, oh.
You knew a couple of people, you knew Professor Joey, right? And a couple of guys.
And I remember from the top to the bottom, everyone was so respectful. And I remember training with Irakli. And I remember Irakli could kill me if he wanted to, but and I had to tell him like Irakli, you know, like if you want to tap me, like I won't get mad, you know, and it was like kind of shocking to think like, you know, people were so respectful, like I'd have to tell them like it's okay to tap me.
Yeah, because you guys moved to like your office, right? You guys moved to Glendale, right? Is that how it happened?
Yeah, like 'cause Gerson, I was working a lot of time in Culver City because I was working at Sony Pictures, and then that's where his academy was. And then when my work switched to Burbank area, that's when like it was just too far, you know. And you know, I remember him telling me like, my main concern is you just continue your jiu-jitsu journey, you know, even if it's not with me. And the guy is still so inspirational to me. Like, recently he got the competition bug again. And
I think I saw him right at the Master Worlds. Yeah,
he won the Masters Worlds, and then like he's been. I saw he won like the OC Open. He won the LA Open.
And I randomly saw him they had this Brazilian film festival. I saw him there, you know, in Culver City.
Yeah, that generation, like, they're so inspirational. Like, just for him to like have the confidence, like, yeah, I'm gonna start doing some independent films, you know, and actually do it, you know, and just that how that generation, like, all of them like left Brazil to start up businesses in the United States, and they had no idea. Like, there was no industry set up for them. They risked everything to be here, and it's something to really respect.
Yeah, because I think back then it was a lot different, right? The UFC wasn't on TV like in the 90s, like, it was, unless you watch those early UFCs, but it was very different, right? Than it is now. Like now, like the UFC is a mainstream sport. Everybody watches it every day. It's on everything, right? On TV. So people know what jiu-jitsu is.
Yeah.
And kids now too, like parents put their kids in jiu-jitsu now compared to what it was back then. Were there kids classes?
No. Back then it was so different. Like
it was like Fight Club, right?
Yeah, I remember we'd have Friday nights was Fight Club night. We'd have to bring the gloves and we'd train jiu-jitsu with trying to hit each other, in a guard. And
it's still the time of you were like jiu-jitsu versus other martial arts, right? Still in that time.
I remember training pisao.
The foot kick, the foot stomp, to close the distance, like the old school Hoist Gracie, right?
Yeah, and still like we train all the, I think a lot of people are look down upon it now, but I appreciate learning the old school self-defense, because like I spent all this time learning jiu-jitsu, might as well say like I've learned the traditional stuff as well. I think there's some value to it.
Yeah, for sure. Like they call it like self-defense aspect, right? People like forget about that. Hey, this is like a martial art. We love the sport and all that, but like, hey, you should know how to fight too, right?
Yeah, I remember recently I trained the mount escape, and it was it was a new way, and I was like, oh, this is a very efficient way to escape the mount. And then I was like, why didn't Gerson teach me that? And I realized it's like, because they were concerned about getting punched in the face, So there's a lot
different intentions, right? Different ways.
Yeah, there's like the old school way was very much about fighting, and
even the IBJJF, right? They don't want it to be an Olympic sport. They want it to keep the essence of it, and it's like self-defense, or you can fight like with things they give points and things like that. That would be advantageous in a fight, so keeping the essence, the martial art essence of it alive, right? Because if it turns into like Olympic sports, like it changes, right? Like kind of like with judo and whatever different things like that go into the Olympic kind of arena, right?
Yeah.
Like the Sheik, the Abu Dhabi Federation, they want to make it an Olympic sport. Other federations want to make it an Olympic sport, but the IBJJF does not. That's not part of their mission.
I feel like people should be free to create whatever organizations they want. Like
express themselves in different ways. Like, have you seen the combat jiu-jitsu?
Oh yeah,
the Chad George
people getting
slap in the face.
Yeah, I feel like
that was part of the old school. That was the old school kind of training sometimes, right?
Yeah, I remember Chinguilla would come over Friday nights and he'd be put on the boxing gloves and we'd have to train to take him down.
Yeah. And
I feel like the more opportunities there are for people to compete, like it could only be better. You know? Because there's it's great to try different things to see what really catches on. You know?
Yeah, I remember I was training for fights in the early days, and I went down to Brazil a couple of times, and I remember like Jacqueline was doing like these old school, having me do old school like closing the distance, right? One guy with boxing gloves, and I wouldn't have boxing gloves. I would just have to avoid the punches and close the distance, And there's this guy named He-Man, so he was a big, strong guy, and he could throw the punches, and I could only take him down, right? And of course, I'm going to take damage, like, because the guy's like also a really good jiu-jitsu guy, right? So his sprawl game, all that stuff is going to be on, But it was part of the training, right?
Yeah,
and it made you better because of it, and the big picture.
Yeah,
and I'm proud of all the experiences and all the things we went through.
And Draculino, like him, Gerson, and Henzo, they all had that charisma, where like they can like inspire people to take on any challenges, It
was a different scene, right? It was a different scene now.
Yeah.
Well, it's different. Just the things were different, right? Back then, you were representing jiu-jitsu, and in the cage and as a martial art, right, versus other martial arts. And I think now like everybody kind of mixes everything, right? Like was on the last couple of podcasts I've been just saying, like in MMA, right, you have to know everything. Like back in the day, you represented one martial art, but now you have to kind of do everything. Like you have to, and even in grappling, you have to. Wrestling, judo game, like you have to be pretty good in everything, right, to be like a top guy, right? So things have evolved, and you have to stay with it. You have to stay with it, and then it's cool to have different rule sets, right? Because maybe one person is better at and then can you adapt too, right?
Yeah, and jiu-jitsu has grown so much. Like for anyone, people are welcome to enter jiu-jitsu for different goals. Like as a 48-year-old competing or training now, like honestly I enjoy jiu-jitsu more now than even when I was a youngster, because I still feel like it's still so fun to figure out techniques or to develop my my game,
It's cool. I saw you this morning walking in, and I can just see like a stress. Really, you were just walking in the door is like kind of like peace, peace of mind in a way.
Yeah.
And I see you talking to Joey, and just like you're at peace, and you're like a kid in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, and for even jiu-jitsu is still so fun,
Yeah.
And having roles with guys and exchanging techniques and appreciating even little things like if I retain the guard in a new way, like it blows my mind. I was rolling with Uday, and I had been passing with this guard, and he did such a beautiful guard retention against it, and I was like, man, it's so cool, like to be interacting with these techniques, and I was like, I'm still growing,
It never stops, right?
Yeah,
never
yeah.
stop. Should never stop.
And
Things are always changing. Like the students show me stuff, teach me stuff.
and
I'm always learning things, like social media and just all the different channel, YouTube and everything else, right? You just see like live matches.
and it's so much easier to learn techniques, because I remember like I remember I would ask Gerson about, because I saw Celcino was the master of the deep half guard, and then I was like, Gerson, can you help me out? I'm trying to figure out what Celcino is doing, and then
Celcino, yeah.
he brought, I'll bring Celcino to teach us, and then
3-time black belt world champion,
Yeah.
Jaron and Gordo's.
that guy was so
tough
good.
students.
I remember he beat a prime Lucas Lepre that one year, and I was like, people don't understand how good this guy was.
Yeah.
And now like BJJ Fanatics, I saw Celcino had put out a deep half guard instructional, and I was like, where was this when I was a kid?
Right, like BJ fan and all that content is out there, right?
Yeah, I think it's a dangerous thing too, because like I think sometimes people look at the online and they're like try to reinvent their game, every other week or something. But I think like it's best to, like, if you realize you have holes in your game, I think that's an appropriate thing to look into.
What's the best way, you think? What advice would you give somebody, because you have all this content, you have all this information, information overload, right?
I think like as like what you said, like once you find something that really works for you, that's a great thing to build off of. And then like I found look for guys who have your body type, your level of athleticism. And then also, if it doesn't connect to your game, you shouldn't focus on it. Like for me, like my progression was from Gordo's underhook half guard to that was my white belt game, and then when I became blue belt, I started doing more deep half guard, and then when I was a purple belt, I started transitioning to X guard. And then, but these are all connected to each other. And I think like if I went from half guard to like, oh, now I'm going to be studying spider guard, it's not really connected. So I feel like I'm just finding holes, and then and like one hole for me was was like getting people like getting chest to chest on me, you know, from the half guard,
Okay.
you know, and that kills so much of the half guard, and so like there's a lot
keeping
of
you flat and that kind of depends on the half guard.
yeah, there's a lot of great instructionals about just maintaining your frames and just those little precise things. As you get more advanced, you realize it becomes more precise, and for the information you need it's like very detailed. And I think like to jump around from like from deep half guard to spider, it's not going to be very productive, you know.
Yeah. See, like the world champions, I don't know who was saying that, you know, but it's just you need a few moves, right? Like a couple of moves with guard and top, you know. And if you want to do, you know, you just be better at the other people. If that's what your goal is, right? To compete and to win.
I remember Gerson would tell me too, because he was from a judo background. He was saying, Sam, if you look at the judo Olympians, they know all the throws, but they're only good at a couple of them. You know, in the competition, they can only do a couple, and it's kind of the same way in jiu-jitsu. You know, with developing your A game, it's more about focusing on how you funnel the game back into that A game, and then you're going to be comfortable. And I feel like that was something great about the Gordo's half guard. It's like once you get your grips, like, you know, Jason will do that just go, and then you know, you don't have to switch grips that much, and you know, you just focus on that, and good things happen, you know, instead of like trying to. It's hard to master everything, you know, and even though I kind of focus in the half guard area, there's still so much that I don't know about half guard, you know. There's so many sweeps and so many retention details, so many defenses, the things you got to watch out for.
New stuff has evolved too, right?
Yeah, like there's the way Jeff Glover does half guard, there's the way Gordo, there's the way Lucas Leite does. Yeah, it's I've already given up on the idea of trying to learn everything. You know, there's only so much there's only so much information you can have as a practical.
How much time you have to practice it too, right? To do it, to actually do it.
Yeah.
You had mentioned that, you know, you enjoy jiu-jitsu more than when you were like 20 years old. Why is that?
I think because like I'm just training for fun now, you know, and just like I appreciate everything now more. Like just to be, I was like, I never would have thought when I was 21 years old, like starting jiu-jitsu, like I'm gonna be 48 and still training, still having fun, you know, and just the idea that it's a blessing for me, and just you know, like after the jiu-jitsu classes, you know, you're supposed to shake hands, but naturally people just naturally give each other hugs, you know, and it's
grateful, right?
Yeah, it's just like
Thank you.
The friendships you can make, and you know, like if you like, because I'm a genuine introvert, you know. A lot of people say they're introverts, but they're actually just kind of shy once in a while. But I'm a genuine introvert. But
and here you are doing a podcast, right?
Yeah, and like if I roll with someone, it's like, oh, I could tell this guy my entire life, you know, my life story, you know, and that's hard to find in life, you know, just especially thinking about, you know, coming out of COVID, like, you know, I see like a lot of younger people have been having a hard time adjusting and back to socializing, and I think jiu-jitsu, it's something like when you test yourself against somebody, or you're sweating and like working to improve each other's lives, it's like you feel like you have a right to speak with people, you know.
Yeah. What a time, right? With everything, the human connection, right? Like even with like devices and stuff, right? Like phones and different technology things, right? Like disconnects everybody, but on the mat there's none of that. It's just like me and the other person or me and the group, right?
Yeah.
And it helps you connect when you connect with others, you connect with yourself better, right?
Yeah. And I think that's something that our society's craving now is just a genuine experiences and just thinking about like how divided the world is with politics, with religion, or different social issues. But like people come to roll in the academy. Like I'm sure everyone's all on the whole spectrum of politics, you know, and different religions, but everyone gets along because you grab each other, you try to choke each other, and we're just people trying to improve our lives and
do our best. Yeah, that's it. You have Christians, Muslims, you have Jew, everybody together, right? Rich, poor, everybody, all different races, right? There's none of that. It's just everybody's the same on the mat.
And everybody and you appreciate people, and it's like it's not a fake, superficial affection for each other. Like we genuinely appreciate, spending time and pushing each other and helping each other to be healthy.
Yeah. Where do you see jiu-jitsu going? You've been in the game since the 90s now, seeing the different, kind of stages, right?
I can only see it being positive, because just thinking about when we were starting, like people didn't really know what it was, but now like when I take my kids to school and meeting other parents, like they're putting their kids to school to jiu-jitsu, and I was like, man, like I never would have imagined like jiu-jitsu would have grown to this, where like I'm talking with other parents about jiu-jitsu, and I think like as a sport,
it was such an underground like fight club kind of a thing, right? Vibe back in those days. Now you're at the school, talking to their parents, right?
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be a diverse. There's gonna be some academies that are focused, like the Gracie Academy in self-defense, and then there's gonna be some that be hardcore competition, and then there's gonna be academies like ours where like whatever you want out of jiu-jitsu we can provide for you. And I feel like as long as the jiu-jitsu keeps growing, diversity, it can be available to more and more people, and I feel like as long as people are getting into jiu-jitsu to help people improve their lives, it can only get better. I think if people get into it to make money, I think that's gonna it's gonna
they'll go away.
They're not gonna last very long.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. You have to have it be in the right place in your heart. You really want to. It's helped you, right? And you want to share that with other people and help them.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about just the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh yeah.
You guys work. That was cool when you guys first came in. You guys were like, all you and your brother both. You both, both doing jiu-jitsu, working on that. How was that? Like after all the years of, martial arts and animation, right? To work on that.
It was a blast. Like Sebastian, my brother, was my director, and we because it's like one of those things where it's like, is this real life? Like, am I really working on Ninja Turtles? And I actually like
you're a kid, you're a teenager, right? When that was huge, right?
Yeah, and
with the video games, the cartoons, right?
And
movies, right?
I actually put in like my brother gave me an assignment to storyboard a training sequence where the Ninja Turtles are practicing, and then he's like, let's do something different. Instead of them fighting with swords and stuff, let's have them training jiu-jitsu. And and I had them do like a flying armbar, the triangle choke, and it was probably the longest like jiu-jitsu sequence in an animated American animated show probably ever. Because
did it come out?
Yeah, it came out.
Wow.
I'll have to look for it, because like it was funny because in the sequence one of the turtles does a triangle choke, and then the other, I think it was Raphael, escapes by like doing the rampage slam. But it was cool. Like, yeah, like I just feel like so grateful. Like with my career, like if someone told me when I was a kid, like when you become an adult, you're gonna work on Ninja Turtles, you're gonna work on Transformers, you're gonna work on all of the Marvel superheroes, all of the DC superheroes. I would have never believed him, but you know, I've just been grateful that I've been given all these opportunities to work on shows that I love, you know, and it's just like I feel like I'm the world's nerdiest black belt. You know, I think I'm probably because I like my career is very much inspired by my nerdy interest and also jiu-jitsu because I think that's the mentality. I'm sure you had that mentality, like when you appreciate something, you get obsessed with it. And I think jiu-jitsu and animation have been my two of the things I've been obsessed with.
Love it, man. Love it. Yeah, love it. Thank you, bro. Thank you, brother,
Thank you for
being a
having me.
part. Yeah, it's been amazing since day one to have you here, and it's been an honor to be on the mat with you all these years, and look forward to a lot more many years to go. You know.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.